So we're coming to you from the stage at the Denver Center Theater Company. It's the Stage Theater, and we're at the Denver truck stop for Mama Hated Diesels with the creators.
Way out yonder where the road disappears, I've been trying to get to that place for years. But the longer I drive day after day, that old road keeps slipping away.
That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Is that in the show?
It is in the show, yes.
What's the name of that piece?
It's called Rollin'.
Rollin'. Yeah. And the notion of this show seems very romantic. Life on the road as a trucker, over the road, but I can't really imagine what it entails to live that life. And it must have inspired you in some way. How did this show even come to be?
Well, Dan and I have worked together on a lot of shows, co-authored together, and I've directed Dan in shows. We first met here on a national tour of the musical Quilters.
Oh, yeah.
And I needed this was some years back, the original production, and I needed a musical director and someone to play in the show, and someone said, well, John Denver's band isn't out right now, and call this guy named Dan Wheetman in Aspen, and that's how we met doing the show.
And what was the inspiration for this particular piece?
Well, Randy and I work together, and usually the piece we're working on somewhere during the putting that together, especially in the rehearsals where there's a lot of downtime, and I sit around and sing a lot of songs, and I sang some coal mining songs, and we wrote a coal mining play. I sang a truck driving song, and Randy said, wow, that could be a really good idea for a show. So he went out and started interviewing truck drivers, and I started gathering up songs.
When you were doing that research, interviewing truck drivers, what was the thing that was the biggest surprise to you about what their life is like?
Well, there's a stereotype about truck drivers being sort of southern, redneck, ignorant, and it's quite the truth is they're hardworking, intelligent Americans, and a very, very difficult job. I mean, they're out there right now hauling all our stuff.
Even in this weather we have today.
That's right, even in the weather today. And, it was just interesting to go out there and talk to them. I just took a tape recorder around the country, literally Houston, Louisville, Denver, all over the country. Yeah, the upper, in the Northeast, there's a lot of truckers, female truckers, male truckers,
sometimes
and their wives.
Right?
Yeah.
And the work that they perform is so critical to the lives that we all take for granted in America that we don't often think about it.
If the trucks stop rolling 3 days before the markets are empty, that's the truth of it. Mm. Just about everything you touch, wear, buy came to you on a truck at one time or another.
I live in New York City, and we don't want to see trucks in New York City. There's signs everywhere, and they
I'm sure the truckers don't want to see New York City. Don't want
well, absolutely, but we don't want them to be in. All the signs say no trucks after 6 a.m. and if they come and park, they get 8 or 9 tickets. But we want their fruits and vegetables for our Sunday brunches.
And the shoes and the clothing and everything
Absolutely.
else that makes that city run.
Yeah, they move America.
Well, as we come to see this piece, what is it going to be? I mean, we're talking about it as if it's a musical, but that doesn't really describe it from the pieces I've seen.
No, I mean, there's no rules anymore. My shows tend to not be.
There's no rules in theater anymore?
They tend to not be musicals in the classical sense or plays. I would think the closest description might be Studs Terkel or Ken Burns live. We use a lot of photographs in the show taken by Jim Steinberg.
And his photographs are beautiful. They really show appreciation for.
Oh yeah, and Jim got excited about the show, and he drove 8,500 miles in his car, shooting trucks, truck stops, truckers, and it's really a good. We wanted a view of what. There's a song called "Looking at the World Through a Windshield," and I think that's sort of the view we wanted with the slides. What do the truckers see across America?
And so when we're here in the theater, we're obviously not in a truck somewhere. We're here in a diner. What made you choose the diner as the framework?
That's where I would do most of my interviews. You know what I mean? In truck stops and diners, where I'd meet sometimes one trucker, sometimes 5 or 6.
It's also a roadhouse where a band might be, which gives us a venue to have. we got a nice 3-piece band and 2 singers in the show, and those songs help carry the, they comment on whatever the truckers say, sometimes change the mood. It's working against what's going on with the truckers.
And some of these songs might be recognizable to people who come.
Oh yeah, you mean, there's 6 Days on the Road, by Dave Dudley, probably the most famous truck driving song. But I also tried to find songs that were commenting on what was going on. Like there's a Jackson Browne tune, there's a Little Feat song, so that everything wasn't just, down, 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 which is fine for me, but I don't think the average theater goer could sit through, an hour and a half of straight ahead truck driving songs.
So as we're seeing the play unfold, are there any original songs that we should
The
look
one
out
that we
for?
started with, I wrote. Yeah, I snuck that in.
Well, of course. And I know that you're also still playing in a band. What can you tell me about what your band is doing right now? And
Well,
why
I
you're
play
not staying here
I
in
play in a
Denver?
very interesting group called Marley's Ghost. We've been together 24 years, and we just recorded with a guy named Jack Clement, who is a very famous producer from Nashville. And so I'm out on the road hawking that album right now.
What's the name of it?
It's called Ghost Town.
Ghost Town.
Yeah.
How do we find out more information about that?
Marley'sGhost.com. I might be Marley'sGhostBand.com these days, but yeah.
And what are you off to do next? So you're going back to New York City when you leave us?
Go back to New York for a little while, then we meet in Chicago with our next show on the blues music. We're doing that in North Light Theater in Chicago.
Any chance you might bring it here when you're done there?
Hopefully, yeah. We started a show together. It Ain't Nothing But the Blues. We started here, and it went to eventually wound its way to Broadway, and we were both nominated for a Tony Award, and so was the
What did
show.
that feel like?
A good party. Yeah, good parties, good party bags.
Now, the Denver Center Theater Company is a Tony-winning company of its own, and lots of creative people love to come here to create their work, to get it started. What is the draw for you as artists when you come here and work with the Denver Center Theater Company to create a new work?
Well, we work around the country at a lot of theaters. Luckily, a lot of our shows. I have a show on Janis Joplin. I have a show on Hank Williams. Some other shows that are done a lot. So we hit all the theaters in the country, and this one is really right up there at the top. And it has to do with the support system, the sets, the lights, the people backstage. It's
the quality of the people that work here, when you have your lighting designer at the very top of his echelon, and you've got your, it's really...
and this beautiful set. I mean, this is Broadway caliber work.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Now, I know you wanted to sort of leave us with a little piece. What's the name of it?
This is a Merle Haggard song, and I think this really is the soul of the piece. I think we both agree on that. It's a song called White Line Fever. White line fever, a sickness born down deep within my soul. White line fever, the years keep flying by like the High Line poles. Wrinkles in my forehead show the miles I put behind me. They continue to remind me how fast I'm growing old. Guess I'll die with this fever in my soul.
That was lovely.
Merle knows how to write a song.
Yeah. And the playing was pretty good, too.
Oh, I thank you.
So if you want to find out more about why Mama hated Deisels, come to the Denver Center Theater Company to see it before it's gone. Just visit their webpage to get your tickets.